Whoa! 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 Hi everyone, welcome to Shea Chi. I'm Chi, and today I'm here to teach you how to make a very traditional Korean dish called Galbi Jjim. It's a very easy recipe to make. Everyone makes it differently with the same ingredients, but mine is very simple, straightforward, and utterly delicious. We have beautifully marbled short ribs right here, nicely trimmed of all the excess fat. And we're going to have, this is 1.5 kilos or about 3.3 pounds. We're going to soak this in cold water and change the water about 2 or 3 times for about, I would say, 20 minutes or so before we boil them, all right? And then we have vegetables we'll be adding to the stew. So we have daikon radish. This is actually a Korean radish. It's not the long skinny one, but if you can't find this, you can use that as well. I'm going to be adding some fresh frozen chestnuts. They sell them at any Korean market. They come vacuum packed like this, so you don't have to sit there peeling fresh chestnuts. It's just too much work. We're going to simplify things here. We have ginkgo nuts, which we're going to roast later and then peel off. This is also optional. So you can put anything and you can omit stuff as well. So it's not a problem. We have carrots, and we have about 10 cloves of garlic, which equals about 2 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons of minced garlic. And then we have dried dates. This also you can find at any Chinese or Korean grocery. Okay? You can make tea with these too. So we're going to soak the water first, and then we'll come back and start making the stew. Okay, so now we have here our soaked, we have removed the blood from our short ribs by putting it in cold water and changing the water about 3 times until it runs clear. So you can see how it's a light pink color now. It was much redder before. And it's ready to be put into a pot of boiling water. So for 1.5 kilos of short ribs, we're going to put it into a pot of water with about a little over 2 liters of water, because we'd like to have more sauce. You're going to regret it later if there's not enough sauce. So I'm just going to add all of this. Be careful because you don't want it to splatter. As it starts to boil, we're going to add some rice wine. Not sweet rice wine, just it's like a sake. You can use sake, you can use Chinese wine, you can use Korean rice wine. It probably costs too much for this. I think sake might be cheaper, or Chinese wine. And let's put in here about, I would just put about 2 tablespoons. It gets rid of all the smell that kind of comes out of the meat when you boil it. Okay, now that it's boiling, we want to maybe lower the fire slightly to like a medium-high heat. And we're going to skim out all of the scum that kind of forms around the edges. This is like fat, blood, just things that we don't have to have in our Galbi Jjim stew. We're going to work on slicing up the vegetables. We have the pre-peeled chestnuts, right? So these chestnuts, we want to kind of form all our vegetables into a similar shape with each other, okay? So we're going to put the chestnuts aside, and we're going to try to cut the carrots and the radish up to look kind of like that. So you can just make these small and trim around the edges. And for the bigger parts, you can slice it in half like this and then shape. So we're going to get a small paring knife and cut around the edges. So we make it nice and kind of cute and round looking. And it makes for a much more presentable dish. Let's say we want to have about equal amount or more of the radish than you do of the carrots, because this makes the sauce very, very tasty and sweet. Now again, we're going to shape them so they look like they're related to the carrots and the chestnuts. Radish in the fall and winter is extremely sweet because that's when it comes out in season. So actually, you can try eating this raw. This goes into our kimchi, and it's such a huge part of our diet. We can just leave the skin on; it's very clean. So. Add a little bit of salt. So we have these slightly roasted ginkgo nuts with salt that we did in the kitchen. We're going to put them on a paper towel and gently just roll to get the skin off. And we're just going to use what's inside, okay? Okay, now that all our vegetables have been nicely shaped for the stew, it's been 30 minutes since this has been boiling. And if you look now, the water has been reduced to half. You want to make sure there's still some liquid left, because when we add the vegetables, we need some water for it to boil in. This is a very basic sauce. You can use it with bulgogi, with LA Galbi, you know, the ones you put on the you can grill with the bones next to each other, 3 bones. You can use this recipe for anything. It's fantastic. You can use it with chicken. It's a basic, the most basic Korean recipe, seasoning, I would say. So let's see. For that amount, we want to put in about, I would say, one cup of soy sauce. Remember, the vegetables are going to go in, so it is going to kind of get diluted a little bit. So we want to put in some soy sauce. We're going to add some sweet wine seasoning, which is called mirin in Korean, and mirin in Japanese, mirin in Korean. We're going to put about half a cup of this. 6 tablespoons of sugar. You can always add more. If it's too sweet, you can always add more soy sauce later on. And then, instead of having to mince up the garlic, I have already put it through a chopper. And this is how much garlic I keep, because I use a lot of garlic in all my cooking. I love it. It's good for you. It's delicious. It's flavorful. So let's add 2 heaping tablespoons of finely minced garlic. Okay, and we're just going to mix this up. We're going to add some black pepper as well. So, feel free to put in about, I would say, half a teaspoon or 1/4 of a teaspoon. You just, whatever suits your taste. There's no real set recipe for this, but I find it does flavor the meat better. So, there we go. And last, we're going to add just a tad of very good sesame oil, cream and sesame oil. I would just put about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Actually, the sesame oil flavor kind of disappears if you put it in at the beginning of cooking. You lose the aroma. So you have to just sprinkle some at the very end before you start to serve and plate, okay? As you can see, even with that much soy sauce, the soup is not that dark, okay? So what's going to happen is, as it reduces, I'm going to put the fire back on high. It smells wonderful. It smells really wonderful. It hasn't even started boiling, but I can just smell all the different smell of the garlic and the sesame oil and the soy sauce. And so we're going to let this boil again for another, I would say, about 20 minutes, okay? Let it boil for 20 minutes because you want it to be soft enough that it falls off the bone, but not too soft that it's off the bone when you're serving, because it doesn't make for nice presentation. So let's just give it about 20 more minutes on a high fire, and then we will add the vegetables, okay? So now this has been boiling for the past 20 minutes on a high fire, and we've had the cover off. So the whole time you're doing this, we're kind of reducing the liquid. It's gone down and the flavors have now infused in the meat. So now it's time to add the vegetables because like I said, we want the meat to be very soft, but if you put the vegetables together in with the meat, it's going to get too soft. So we don't want to overcook the vegetables either. We want them a little bit soft but still firm. So we're going to first add the radish. The radish will make the soup the stew very sweet. Okay, there's a sweetness and there's a flavor, a wonderful flavor about daikon radish that we use it so much in Korean cooking, as well as Japanese cooking. And then we're going to add the carrots. I personally like a lot of vegetables in my Galbi Jjim. It makes great for mixing and breaking into your rice. And these are all very firm vegetables, so you want to put them in. Once it starts to boil, reduce the fire to medium and let it boil covered for the next about, I would say, 15 minutes until the vegetables are cooked. We're going to wash 4 scallions to decorate on top of the 갈비찜 when we plate. Okay, it's been 20 minutes now, and let's see how this is cooking. Beautiful. You maybe want to try to, in the meantime, we should try to move it around just slightly. You don't want to over touch it because you don't want the meat to break off the bone. But just for color, you want all of these radishes and carrots to have a uniform color. So you're going to have to move them around a bit so you get the ones on the top on the bottom and vice versa. Now we have about 10 more minutes to cook this Galbi Jjim. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to add these dry dates for flavor as well as for color. But we don't want them in there too long because they're going to break apart. So just the last 10 minutes, add about 10 or 12 of those. Then our ginkgo nuts. It already has a different smell once you start adding the dates and the ginkgo nuts, okay? Cover this for 10 more minutes, and then we're going to plate. Okay, seems like a long process, but actually it's well worth it. It should be ready. We're going to turn off the heat. Let's see. Ah, beautiful. Look at that. Just enough soup. The meat is tender. The vegetables are soft. And they've been nicely colored. So we're going to plate this now. Very gently from the bottom. Take out the meat. You see how it's still on the bone, but it's very, very nice and soft. It's fully cooked. beautifully. The vegetables are fully cooked, but they're firm. And this is probably a serving for, I would say, 6 people. And if there are only 2 of you or 3 of you, the more you make, the better, because I seriously think it tastes better the next day. Oh, you see, one of them fell off the bone. So it's getting hot. Hold on. And let's try to get some ginkgo nuts on the top, because it makes for nice decoration. Where are you, ginkgo nuts? Come on out. Make sure you get a good variety of different vegetables that are in here. There you go. I like the radish, so I'm going to add more radish. And some dates for color. Here we go. And then we're going to do the final presentation, which will be by adding some of our chopped scallions on top. So I'm going to gently just put some on top. Mix the greens as well as the whites, because it just gives more color to it. And then we want to sprinkle some sesame seeds, whole toasted sesame seeds on top, just to make it pretty. There you go. Now, time for me to taste. Let me get no such thing as a small piece. Let me get a piece of this and one of these. And look at that. Just, hold on, it's hot. Still stuck to the bone. Mmm. Mmm. So perfectly done. It's not too soft that it's like mushy, but it's not hard at all. It's so easy to chew. And if you look at this radish, my chopped it goes right through it. I love radish in Galbi Jjim. It's so delicious. Thank you. Bon appetit.